I grew up in a family where the golden rule was, don't be weird. My siblings had it down to an art form. Always polished, always saying the right things, always slotting neatly into whatever social box my parents wanted us in. And then there was me. I was the kid who asked too many questions, who laughed too loudly, who called out my sister's lie about having a natural tan when I literally watched her fry herself in a tanning bed. I wasn't mean, I was just honest, blunt in ways that made people uncomfortable. If my brother's friend said something stupid, I'd say, that's dumb. If my mom bragged about my sister being the smartest kid in her class, I'd pipe up, she got a C in math last semester. I wasn't trying to sabotage anyone, but I never understood why keeping quiet was considered more polite than telling the truth. That kind of honesty doesn't win you popularity points in a family obsessed with appearances. My siblings learned early on to treat me like a liability. At family dinners, they'd roll their eyes and say, "Don't say anything embarrassing." At school events, they'd keep their distance, whispering to their friends like I was a stray animal that followed them there. I was always too much, too direct, too awkward, too unfiltered. And the worst part? My parents never stopped them. If anything, they co-signed the whole thing. When my brother would tell me to shut up, my mom would laugh and say, "You do talk too much sometimes." When my sisters complained that they couldn't bring me to the mall with their friends because I was embarrassing, my dad would shrug and say, "Well, you are different." Not once did anyone stand up for me. Not once did anyone say, "Hey, maybe don't treat your sibling like garbage." Over time, the message sank in. I wasn't just the odd one out. I was the family's designated black sheep, tolerated in private, but hidden in public. It's funny. Growing up like that teaches you two conflicting skills at once. On one hand, you learn to survive being ignored, to quietly swallow the sting of being left out. On the other hand, you develop this razor-sharp awareness of hypocrisy. I could smell the fakery in my family from a mile away, and while they might have been comfortable pretending everything was perfect, I knew better. Still, as a kid, you don't really have a choice. You play the role you're cast in, even if it's the weird one nobody claims in public. Fast forward to adulthood, and life looks completely different when my family isn't in the picture. I live on my own now in a small but cozy apartment. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I've got plants that actually thrive. I used to joke I'd kill a cactus, but apparently I just needed sunlight and space. I've got a dog who thinks I hung the moon. And most importantly, I don't wake up every day bracing myself for judgmental sighs or eye rolls. It's weird how much calmer you get once you're out from under people who made you feel like existing wrong. My anxiety used to chew holes in me. Every family gathering was like walking into a courtroom where I was always guilty of something. Now, without their constant running commentary, I can actually hear my own thoughts. Turns out I'm not half as unbearable as they made me out to be. And then there's my boyfriend. He's the kind of person who makes me laugh so hard I forget what we were even talking about. He calls my bluntness refreshing, which felt like someone flipping the script on my entire childhood. Where my siblings heard embarrassing, he hears honest. Where my parents saw different, he sees real. He teases me, sure, but never in that condescending way I grew up with. More like, I can't believe you just said that out loud, but thank God you did. He's been my anchor when old insecurities creep in, reminding me I don't have to keep performing for people who never clapped for me anyway. Outside of family events, I've built a life that feels solid. Friends who actually invite me places, coworkers who respect me, a partner who has my back. For once, I'm not the weird one. I'm just me, and that me is doing fine. Still, whenever family gatherings roll around, it's like stepping through a time warp. No matter how much I've grown, they treat me like the same kid they decided was defective. It doesn't sting quite like it used to. I've got enough distance now, but it's still there, this undercurrent that I'll never really belong in their little perfect picture world. That's the thing about family scars. You can heal, you can thrive, but the moment they're around, the old wounds itch like they never left. Her name's Danielle, my second oldest sister, the one who always had a knack for turning everything into a performance. She was the classy one, the elegant one, The one my mom bragged about at Christmas letters like she'd been hand-sculpted from marble. To me, she was just exhausting. Imagine someone who would practice smiling in mirrors to look natural. That's Danielle. Anyway, one Tuesday evening, I was sitting on the couch, scrolling absent-mindedly through my phone with my dog, a big, goofy mutt named Max, snoring beside me. A family WhatsApp notification popped up. Normally, those group chats are a nightmare. Half my family passive-aggressively one-upping each other about vacations or new cars, the other half sending unfunny minion memes. But this one caught my eye. So excited for the bridal shower! Bridal shower? I scrolled up. Sure enough, there it was, a string of messages, all gushing over wedding plans. Bridesmaid dress fittings, venue details, a conversation about the cake flavors. Everyone chiming in like they were co-producing some blockbuster event. Except me. No message, no save the date, not even a courtesy text. It was like reading the script of a movie where everyone had a role except me. At first I thought, naively, that it was just an oversight. Classic Danielle, forgetting to loop people in, probably too busy Instagramming her ring. I actually laughed out loud. The kind of disbelieving laugh you make when your brain refuses to process something properly. I turned to Max, held up my phone, and said, "Guess who's not invited?" He tilted his big, dumb head, blinked at me, and then barked once like he was agreeing, which honestly was more validation than I'd ever gotten from my family. But the more I scrolled, the clearer it became. This wasn't a mistake. There were months of planning messages. People were booking flights. My mom had even commented about how stunning the venue was going to look in pictures. Everyone was fully aware. Everyone was included. Except me. That realization hit me like a punch to the chest. I could actually feel my face getting hot, that old mix of humiliation and rage rising up like it used to when I was a kid. I sat there, staring at the screen, half expecting at any moment someone would notice. But no, the conversation just kept rolling, as though my absence wasn't even a glitch in the system. The thing is, I shouldn't have been surprised. This was exactly the kind of "don't bring her around, she's embarrassing" energy my siblings had radiated since I was old enough to speak. But adulthood had lulled me into this fragile sense of safety. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd grown out of it, that I'd done enough growing myself to finally earn a seat at the table. Apparently not. So I sat there, phone in hand, my dog's warm head pressing into my leg, and let the weight of it sink in. My sister was throwing the biggest event of her life. My family was all in on it, and they'd collectively decided I didn't even belong in the audience. And here's the kicker. For the first time, I wasn't just hurt. I was angry. Properly, cleanly angry. Because this wasn't teenage cruelty anymore. This wasn't siblings being dumb. This was adults, my own flesh and blood, deliberately cutting me out, like I was an inconvenience at best or a liability at worst. And if they thought I was going to sit quietly in the corner like I did as a kid, they had another thing coming. So I did the thing you're not supposed to do in my family. I spoke up. The WhatsApp thread was still buzzing with bridesmaid chatter when I finally typed out, open quote, "Hey, I just noticed I haven't gotten an invite. Did it get lost in the mail or something?" Close quote. I tried to keep it light, even added a little smiley face like I wasn't already burning up inside. I hit send, and then the typing bubble stopped. Just silence. For a good 2 minutes, nothing. Then finally, my brother chimed in, open quote, "Don't make this awkward." Close quote. Like I was the one committing a crime by noticing I'd been erased from the guest list. Then Danielle, the bride herself, popped in with a single message that felt like someone flicking ash in my face. Open quote, "It's just going to be a small, curated event. Nothing personal." Close quote. Nothing personal, right? Except it was very personal. I sat there staring at the screen, heart pounding, waiting for someone to push back, to say, "Wait, what do you mean she's not invited?" But instead, my mom entered the chat like the family's PR manager. Open quote, "Sweetheart, just let it be. This is her special day. No need to cause tension. Cause tension." Close quote. She even added a heart emoji, which somehow made it sting worse, like wrapping barbed wire in pink ribbon. It wasn't just dismissal. It was dismissal with a pat on the head. The chat went back to normal after that, like my little outburst was nothing more than static on the line. Bridesmaid dresses, catering options, Some stupid joke from my brother-in-law about open bar versus cash bar. Business as usual. Meanwhile, I sat there with my phone buzzing, realizing in real time that my own family had made me the outsider again. I didn't reply. What was there to say? They'd already decided I was expendable. My mom's "just let it be" was basically code for, "we're not going to stand up for you. We never will." That night, I walked Max around the block 3 times just to calm down. He trotted happily at my side, tongue lolling out like the world was perfect. And for a moment, I envied him, this dumb, loyal creature who'd never understand being told you don't belong. For me, though, it was impossible to ignore. The sting lingered, not just in my chest, but in that old, familiar spot deep in my gut that had been branded since childhood. The black sheep, once again being told to stay outside the fence. Except this time, I wasn't a kid anymore, and I wasn't going to forget it. Fast forward a few months, and life looked a whole lot brighter. My fiancé and I were planning our wedding, not a palace-sized ordeal like Danielle's, but something intimate, warm, and ours. We picked a vineyard just outside the city, surrounded by rolling hills and lanterns strung up between the trees. I wanted people who actually wanted me there, not people who tolerated me like an embarrassing +1 to my own life. So, none of my siblings made the list. Not Danielle, not my brother, not my other sister. And yes, I knew it was going to raise eyebrows, but I'd already learned their favorite phrase, "it's her choice." The day of the wedding, I was in the middle of getting my hair done when my phone buzzed. Danielle, open quote, "Hey, random ask. I just found out prospective client's name is at your wedding. My husband has been trying to get in front of him for months. Do you think we could come by for a little bit? Just to network?" Close quote. I actually laughed. Full, genuine laughter. The audacity of this woman, excluding me from her curated guest list, but now wanting in on mine because it suited her agenda. What made it sweeter? That client wasn't some random extra floating around my party. He was a longtime associate of my fiancé, someone we'd invited because we genuinely liked him. Danielle's big opportunity was just another guest enjoying a glass of wine and clinking glasses to celebrate us. I typed back, open quote, "No, Danielle, this is a small curated event, nothing personal." Close quote, hit send, sat back, smiled. Not long after, she texted again. Open quote, "Please, this is important. He just needs a few minutes." Close quote. I didn't reply. I slipped my phone face down on the table and let the makeup artist keep working. Later, as I was stepping into my dress, my mom called. She started with her usual soft approach, trying to be reasonable. Open quote, "Honey, maybe you could let Danielle come for a little bit. It's really important to her husband, and it would mean a lot if you could just," close quote. No. I cut her off. It's my wedding. This is my choice. There was a pause, a sigh, and then, finally, she relented. All right, if that's how you feel. It was the first time in my entire life my mother had actually backed down instead of backing them. And the wedding, it was perfect. The people there laughed with me, not at me. They toasted to my happiness instead of picking me apart. I looked around and, for once, didn't see siblings waiting for me to slip up or parents trying to smooth over my existence. Just love. Just joy. Just peace. Meanwhile, somewhere across town, Danielle was fuming that her husband's big break was happening without her. And I can't lie, knowing she felt even a fraction of the exclusion she'd made me feel, that was the champagne toast I didn't know I needed. Revenge accomplished.